Over the past few days, global oil prices have surged past $100 per barrel, sending shockwaves through financial markets and raising serious concerns about a potential global energy crisis. The sudden spike is closely linked to the escalating Iran-Israel conflict, which has created uncertainty about the stability of the Middle East oil supply. Because the Middle East plays such a critical role in the global energy system, any political or military tension in the region can immediately affect the global oil market and drive crude oil prices higher. To understand why oil prices are rising so quickly, it's important to look at how the global oil supply chain works. Oil is still the backbone of the modern economy. It powers transportation, aviation, shipping, and manufacturing industries around the world. From gasoline used by drivers in the United States to jet fuel powering international flights, oil remains one of the most essential resources for economic activity. When there is even a small risk that oil supply could be disrupted, traders and investors react quickly by pushing prices higher in anticipation of possible shortages. One of the most important factors behind the recent spike in oil prices is a narrow, but extremely strategic waterway known as the Strait of Hormuz. This passage sits between Iran and Oman and is widely considered the most important oil transit choke point in the world. Every single day, nearly 20% of the world's oil supply moves through this narrow shipping route. Tankers carrying oil from major producers such as Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, and the United Arab Emirates pass through the Strait of Hormuz before heading toward international markets, including the United States, Europe, and Asia. As tensions rise between Iran and Israel, global markets are increasingly worried that the conflict could disrupt shipping in this critical region. Even the possibility of attacks on oil tankers or naval confrontations can trigger panic in the energy markets. If shipping traffic in the Strait of Hormuz were to slow down or stop, millions of barrels of oil per day could be removed from the global supply. Because of this risk, energy traders immediately push crude oil prices higher to reflect the potential disruption. Another key reason oil prices are increasing is the growing concern over energy infrastructure in the Middle East. During periods of conflict, oil refineries, storage facilities, pipelines, and export terminals can become vulnerable targets. If these facilities are damaged or forced to shut down, even temporarily, the amount of oil available to global markets can drop significantly. When supply decreases but global demand remains strong, the natural result is a rise in global oil prices. The impact of rising oil prices does not stay limited to the energy industry. Higher crude oil prices eventually lead to more expensive gasoline, increased transportation costs, and higher prices for goods and services. Airlines, shipping companies, and logistics networks all rely heavily on fuel. When fuel becomes more expensive, the cost of moving products around the world also rises. This often contributes to inflation, making everyday goods more expensive for consumers. For the United States and other major economies, rising oil prices can create ripple effects throughout financial markets. Stock markets can become more volatile, central banks may face additional pressure when controlling inflation, and governments may need to reconsider energy policies. Most importantly, consumers begin to feel the impact directly at the gas pump, where fuel prices often rise quickly when global oil prices increase. Looking ahead, analysts and energy experts are closely monitoring how the Iran-Israel conflict develops. If tensions continue to escalate, or if shipping routes in the Strait of Hormuz become seriously threatened, some experts warn that oil prices could climb even higher, potentially reaching $150 per barrel or more. On the other hand, if diplomatic efforts manage to reduce tensions and stabilize the region, global energy markets could calm down and prices may gradually move lower. What this situation ultimately shows is how interconnected the global energy system truly is. A conflict in one region of the world can quickly influence fuel prices, economic stability, and financial markets across the entire planet. As the situation continues to evolve, governments, investors, and energy companies will be watching closely to see whether this crisis escalates further or moves toward a diplomatic resolution. For now, one thing is clear: the combination of Middle East tensions, the Iran-Israel conflict, and fears of oil supply disruption has once again reminded the world just how fragile the global oil market can be.